Ahoy there, it's Rain. So my video got copyright claimed, which is fine. I think I made it really easy for the algorithm to pick up with the whole full screening and not talking over the clip and all that fun stuff. It's just a bit of a shame because I used a lot less of the clip than a lot of other people, but honestly, I don't take it personally. I think it's just because since I uploaded the original video, a message has been deleted, and I'd imagine that the videos that Jenna has deleted or privated or unlisted or whatever, she doesn't want people watching. Because she doesn't want people watching it. So, fair enough. But I only wanted to use parts of the video as kind of like to back up what I was saying, you know? So I'm gonna edit this a little differently. I'll only use clips to kind of like and sort of back up what I'm saying to further enhance what I'm saying, if you know what I mean. And I'll edit it a bit differently so it hopefully doesn't get picked up by the algorithm. It's basically the same video, so I wouldn't worry about rewatching it again. And it does look like Jenna and Julian are settling down a bit now, which I'm glad for and I'm happy for them. But I really didn't want this video to be not on my channel, just because it's like I had something to say, you know. So yeah, sorry about that. We live in a weird time that nobody could have ever predicted. Who would have known that a simple act of showing your face on the internet could potentially ruin your future 5 or 10 years down the line? Time goes forward, culture changes, evolves, and people adapt. It's part of existing, part of being human, but it doesn't inherently mean that we're becoming better. Just because everybody is doing one thing now doesn't mean they'll be doing it in the future. And it doesn't mean that it will be accepted in the future either. Just because everybody is pointing their finger at you, it doesn't mean that you have to listen to them. The majority isn't the authority that you have to bow to day in and day out. You are a person too, with thoughts and feelings and values, and you should allow yourself to be wrong and to be different and to be that kid in class that answers right when everyone else is dead silent. When someone tells you to move left, you can move left, but you can also move right. You have that choice, and either choice isn't inherently harmful. But maybe you'll do it anyway in hopes that you won't upset that person that said move left. And little do you know, someone else is watching the whole thing, hoping that you'd move right, and you didn't even notice them. There's no way to please everyone. There truly isn't, and I swear by that. You try to please everyone, and you end up pleasing no one, and probably hurting yourself from the stress of it all. It's so absurd to me how a bad tan can be so quickly written off as blackface. That word means nothing anymore, and apparently intention means nothing either. Imagine living in a world where we all want to be treated as equal, yet we assign certain privileges to people based on what they look like now. Ancestry doesn't even matter, ironically, even when that's the reason these social rules exist in the first place. There are so many awful things someone can do, and it's never truly the bad people who are ever sorry for it. That's not how people work. Only the best people care when they do something bad. And what's really damaging is when you put someone in a position where they have to sit down with themselves and regret every bad life choice they've ever made, like they've not grown or developed as a person since the day they were born. I can't imagine how toxic that is. There have been times where I've done something then and there and regretted it so bad I put myself in a state for days. Why would you want anyone to multiply that feeling about something they can't even relate to that they've done recently? How can you learn from something you've already grown from? You can't, which is why it has to be so frustrating. You've all said some racist stuff. You've all said some mean stuff. You've all been terrible people. I'll tell you myself, you're horrible. We as a human race were awful. How many things have we destroyed? How many of our own kind have we taken down for our own gain? How many centuries have we fought and bickered and killed? We're terrible. And people still think they're good enough to look down at someone and tell them they need to improve to make you happy? How about we all work on ourselves and help each other? We don't have to demand anything from anyone. Let people grow at their own rate, because the best people always do. And you know what the worst people do? They tell you to fuck off and they don't put any effort in. They don't put any effort in to be better. The people who actually need to improve don't, and it's because they don't care. Just imagine going into a prison and telling a serial killer they should feel bad and apologize. No one does that because it's ridiculous. Your words aren't switches to people's behavior. They're put in prison to protect others because they're not trusted to be safe, and they're not trusted to become safe in the future. Your words are just ideas you put into the world, and they should only be that. You should let people listen if they want to, and if they don't, they don't. Instead of mass harassing people and getting into their heads with this petty nonsense that means nothing in the long term. What bothers me is how above and beyond Jenna has gone to please people, despite what she said she believes.
As someone clearly with their own path that they're not proud of, I do just try to see people for who they are right now, today, and that they're not defined by their past. And I understand. I'm trying to do the same thing that you are, and support and be friends with people that I'm proud of and that I love. And I just know that I'm doing my best.
People are not defined by their past, and she judges people by who they are today. But she's not holding herself to that same standard that she holds other people to. She's gone out of her way to look into herself and criticize herself about things that people didn't even bring up.
There's no one demanding an apology for that video of me right now, but I'm like, just, you know what, put it on my tab. Here's another thing I'm sorry for.
She says, there's no one demanding apology, but I'll put it on my tab anyway. It just makes me think, is she really just sat in her house thinking about what she regrets about her past? That's really horrible. For days she's been deleting videos. Days. You must have been in that position at least once. It's not a nice feeling to just hate on yourself like that for days at a time. And it's worse to have maybe hundreds of people breathing down your neck about it on top of everything. She says she doesn't know what's right or wrong, but I think that's a load of bullshit. I think that's what people tell themselves when they don't know the right way to make everyone happy. But guess what? Nobody does. Jenna is an adult woman. She knows better. I know she knows better. I know she, like everyone else, will always have some growing up to do, and that's okay. It's okay to learn new things. And Jenna needs to give herself more credit. She does know what's right and wrong because she is a functioning human being. She has existed in this world. She has lived. She knows what's right and wrong. Okay? As for being friends with the wrong people, that is ridiculous. If you're friends with someone who is problematic and they see you being not problematic, maybe they will start being not problematic. How is that a bad thing? I was a little shit of a child for about 2 years, and people being around me and being good is what made me become a better person. You shouldn't be kicking people out of your life because you think there's something bad about their beliefs, or they have a flaw, or maybe 2 flaws. Be good to them. You don't have to fight people for them to be on your side. You can just show them and they can improve if they want to. And if they don't, maybe you weren't all that right in the first place. I can't stand it when people think they're flawless and perfect and they can't ever be wrong. Well, you're not. You're dumb. You're a dumb human with dumb emotions that make you do dumb things, and so is everyone else. Let people be human so they can be better humans. As much as we all think we're living in awful times, we're doing better than we were, say, 100 years ago. And as a whole, we're doing better, even though we're all little shits, okay? So trust in ourselves to keep being better and becoming better. And I know I'm better than to just start yelling about how people need to change and stop cancel culture. And I'm smarter than that to know how many times that's been said already. And here we are today, and it's still happening. And it will happen for a very long time until it's lost in a generation somewhere. And that's okay. That's just how stupid people can be. This is more just a message to people dealing with mobs and being put in a position where they feel like the whole world is against them. The world isn't against you just because you made a dumb mistake. And I wouldn't even call what Jenna did a mistake. I'm sure her videos made a lot of people happy. Even if people are not so happy about it now. There is so much worse that could have been done, and I hope she understands that. And I know you can't just say, oh, it could have been worse. It's fine. It's fine to apologize for something that you regret. But this isn't something that warrants this huge outrage. This is petty little things that mean nothing. And you know, I probably would have laughed at it if I subscribed to her videos back then too. I'm sure her videos made a lot of people happy. I briefly mentioned it in some older videos of mine. I really look up to people who can have a YouTube channel and just post whatever they want, because to me that says so much about the creator, and I've always wanted to do that since I started this channel, and Jenna has been my main inspiration for that. Some other YouTubers too, but she's definitely right at the top. She's been such a massive inspiration and such an important addition to the YouTube atmosphere in terms of producing content. You don't have to stick to one thing like people used to always advise you to do. Sometimes you being you is enough, and Jenna really had a channel that spoke volumes to that. She really is just trying her best, and to just see someone get so torn down about something that doesn't even matter anymore really just gets to me. How is this still happening to people? But of course it is. Of course people are going to try and make you feel bad about something just so they can hold themselves up to the world and say they made a change and they were being active, but that's not how this should work. She really should back off herself, and people should back off her. No one should be made to feel that bad about something so tame and ridiculous, especially when they did a complete 180 and aren't even close to the same character that they were years ago. I really, really hate that about people. I just want people to stand taller and stronger and accept their own personal growth as enough. You don't need to bow to anyone or apologize or get hurt and upset. You're doing good just being a better you. And why should anything or anyone else matter in regards to that? She doesn't need to be held accountable. She's done enough, and she's always been enough and is a great person in general. Do not hold yourself to other people's standards, because there is nothing anywhere that says their standards have any more value than your own.